Hey, Harpslingers, welcome to the Harpslinger podcast, where nearly every week we hang out with the greatest harmonica players in the music business. Now, if you're watching this on the Facebook, the Honer Music Facebook page, make sure you share this to your own profile page, help us spread the word. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to go to the Harpslinger YouTube channel, push subscribe, ding the bell, that whole 9 yards. That way we can keep you up to speed with all the new content that will be coming out in the following weeks. Also, we've got a great catalog of interviews that I've done over the last 8 or 9 months. Actually, it's been almost a year now, so there's a lot of great interviews with some of all of our favorite harmonica players. So I encourage you to do that. All right, let's get to it. My next guest really does it all. He's an amazing vocalist, harmonica player, band leader, songwriter, recording artist, and producer. He's been a mainstay on the New York music scene for nearly 25 years, touring internationally and releasing 6 full-length albums along the way. Plus, he's got a really cool name. Here he is, Ron Sunshine. How you doing, Ron?
Hey, how's it going? Doing great.
Doing great here too, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. As I was saying before, I've been a fan of yours from watching your YouTube channel, and I lived in New York for a decade, and sadly, I never got a chance to see you do your thing live, which was crazy because I used to hang out at some of your stomping grounds, like Swing 46 and places like that. So it's really just great to meet you today. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you too, man.
Absolutely, brother. Well, so I know you're in the New York area now. I think you're in New Jersey. Is that right?
Actually, I went all the way. I skipped New Jersey and moved to Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Still only 90 minutes away, though. So it's like, takes me the same amount of time it used to take me to drive home to Brooklyn. Basically, I just drive a lot faster and I park in front of my house, So.
Which is always nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. So I know that you were born and raised in Denver, Colorado, and you come from a very musical family. Your dad was a trumpet player. Your sisters were great singers. So I know that you were inspired at an early age. But when did you start? What was why did you pick up the harmonica? When did you start playing?
I'd moved to New York when I was 18, and I guess I was about 19. I had this girlfriend, and she gave me a harmonica and a Sonny Terry record and a book for Christmas one year. And I was like, it took a couple of years to really get into it, but that was it for me.
Right on. Were you singing before you moved to New York? Was music a part of your life before then?
Oh, yeah. I was a singer in a band in high school doing, like classic rock cover band, doing like school dances and
right on, man.
Like that.
Right on. And
Stairway to Freebird era,
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in those cover bands for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and you're also, I know you're heavy into the jazz scene, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But so I'm curious, who besides Sonny Terry were sort of your influences on harmonica?
In the very beginning, Sonny Terry was huge, but I had some Bo Diddley records with Billy Boy Arnold on them.
Yeah.
And those were some very simple lines when I was first getting started, trying to play like Bring It On Home and Pretty Thing, those tunes, Bo Diddley tunes. And then somebody gave me a Muddy Waters record with James Cotton on it, and I was like, wow,
Yeah. Super hard.
Yeah. And then also that Johnny Winter record called Nothing But the Blues with Muddy Waters whole band and James Cotton.
Yes.
Those were some big, huge early influences.
Right on. So are you self-taught?
Totally self-taught. Well, I got to qualify that. In the early 80s, Adam Gusso used to give me lessons like on the phone. He used to try to teach me.
Right on.
But that was with varying degrees of success. I wouldn't say that I was able to digest everything he was trying to teach me, but he tried. I thank him for that,
Yeah, absolutely. He's a monster player, huh?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Old friend of mine.
Right on. And did you ever catch him when he was playing in New York?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Actually, I saw when Mr. Satan first arrived in New York, I was living on the Upper West Side, and I saw Mr. Satan like arrive in New York in this very, red dust covered pickup truck, and a bunch of guys hopped out of the back, and they were all like covered with road dust, and they had like antennas in there. It was crazy. And then a couple of weeks later, or I'm not sure the exact time frame, but I saw Adam and Satan playing before they started playing all the time on 125th Street. They were playing in front of this church across from Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I saw them in like Dan Lynch's, and
Right on. That's my old neighborhood too, like around 110th Street, that is that the church you're talking about?
I think this particular church was 111th or 112th,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's my old neighborhood too. I went to Columbia, so
Right
I
on.
lived in that neighborhood for a good 10 years, 81 to 92 about.
Have you been back to that neighborhood lately?
Oh my God, yeah. Can't
It's
recognize anything.
changed, right?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I know. It could be pretty rough when I was there from like 95 through 2003 or something like that. And it could be pretty rough sometimes.
Yeah, it could. No kidding. Yeah, like walking down Columbus Avenue, taking your life in your hands.
Yeah, totally.
Now it's like all like, hip boutiques and fancy restaurants. But
Yeah, it's crazy how it gentrifies like that. But
yeah.
So you mentioned Columbia, and I know you attended Columbia to study English and American literature. Is that right?
Yeah, and history. I was like one class away from being a double major.
Wow, man.
I think I ended up English.
So that wasn't. So you didn't go to New York to be a musician. You just went to New York and became more of a musician, I suppose, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much the size of it. I developed in the interim. I developed stage fright.
Right on. Well, New York can do that to you. There's so much talent there.
Yeah. It took me a good. I don't think I got on stage anywhere until actually 87.
Right on.
So yeah, it took a while.
Where were you playing when you were playing in New York in
New
those
York,
early days?
Well, I started playing. I took a summer and I went up to Michigan. I was a bartender. I had this bartending gig like way up north in Michigan, and the cook had a blues band, and I told him I played harmonica, and so I'd run out from behind the bar and we'd do like a few tunes, and I'd run back behind the bar. So that was kind of helped me get over it for a minute there.
Nice.
And then in New York, there was a slide guitar player. You might know him, Brian Cramer. He's excellent, like traditional blues slide guitar player. He lives in Sweden now. And he and I were a duo.
Right on.
We were playing at the Cathedral Cafe in 110th in Amsterdam, like every Friday night.
Nice.
We had a few gigs downtown, like Kenny's Castaways and
right.
Rodeo Bar.
Rodeo Bar. I love that place. I played there a bunch. That was a great spot. I think it's gone now, unfortunately.
It is gone. Yeah, I played there a whole lot. I spent an inordinate amount of time there. Yeah, drank a lot of those frozen margaritas.
Right on. Absolutely. I think I had a few of those myself. So, are you by any chance? What kind of harps are you playing? You a Hohner guy?
Right now, yeah, I'm back to Hohner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for years I played Lee Oscars, and I just like the way the cases fit together. And they had the minor keys, and they had replacement reeds, and and I tried Seidel's for a while, and they sounded great, but I didn't find that they would last as long.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm back to Hohner marine bands.
Marine bands, right? You like the wood comb?
Yeah, but I was talking. I met Kim Wilson for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I was sitting in this room listening because a couple of my friends were on his East Coast tour.
Mm-hmm.
So they got me on the list. I'm sitting there listening to what he's doing. And I got to talk to him after the show. I was like, man, Mr. Hohner loves you. What are those harmonica? How could I just know what's going on between his mouth and the harmonica? And that is not happening on my harmonicas. What are you playing? And he said he had only played custom harps from Joe Falisco. So
have you tried any of Joe's harps?
I have not. I looked on his website. It says he's not taking new customers right now, but
yeah, I think his hands might be full, but man, I have one, and I don't play it often because I want it to last forever.
Exactly, I understand.
So good, yeah. I have a tendency to play a little hard, so I'm like, I don't want to blow it out, and
yeah.
So I keep it for special things, maybe a recording session or something,
Yeah, I had one custom harp I still have. It's really nice from this guy, Ben Booman in Holland.
Uh-huh.
And I could really feel the difference, but I have to investigate that more.
Right on. Right
the
on.
whole custom harp scene.
Yeah, yeah, I know it can be. It's a rabbit hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not a guy who likes to get inside a harmonica and fiddle around. I just don't enjoy that. Never have, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to tune harps years ago, and it was like a disaster. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not built for this.
Yeah, if I have like a stuck reed, I'll very grudgingly take the thing apart and free up the reed and work on the gapping, but I don't like doing that, you know. I know some people love doing that, but it's just not one of my things, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Well, I love the way you play. I'm you know, it always amazes me when I find out that guys are not you know are not what's the word? Well, when they're self-taught, you know what I mean? It's amazing to me because you know I guess kids today can check out YouTube and they can find out, you know, all of these special techniques and learn the ropes. But
Yeah.
when we were learning, it was, I mean, that was tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to play like you play, it amazes me that you can just do that on your own.
Yeah, it's quite a different world now, right? You open up YouTube, you can find out anything, you know.
I know some things you don't want to find out. In fact,
But I remember it being the 1980s and thinking, how do I do this? You know, who do I ask? And you know, I'm a big fan of this Barbecue Bob and the Spare Ribs, not the Barbecue Bob McGlint, but the New Jersey Barbecue Bob. I've been listening to him for, you know, 40 years, and he's a buddy of mine now. And I used to follow him around gig to gig and sit in, and I would ask him to teach me things. And, you know, he was busy as hell gigging all the time. And, you know, there were no harmonica teachers that I knew of back then.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you lock yourself in a room with a record and try to catch a lick over and over again. You know,
That's it. That's what I did as well. You're talking about gigging a lot. You do about 200 dates a year or so, right? I mean, that's an enormous amount of dates.
Not currently. I used to do more than that, but you know, I'm a little older now, and I don't need to take every gig.
I hear you. I hear you.
You know, I'm gigging, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a month now, so that's plenty for me right now. Plus, you know, the pandemic, there were no gigs.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I just saw a video on your Facebook page where you were playing at Swing 46, one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, it's fun. That was fun.
It's like walking back
playing there for like. Yeah, it is. There's like no other place left like that. It's old school supper club kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It used to be everywhere. I mean, there used to be places like that practically on every block in Manhattan, and gigs. Every one of them had gigs. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Right. And you played another great place that I always wanted to. Man, actually, I got to say, I want to just say this: like your direction in music and the way you have incorporated your harmonica with American Popular Songbook, you know, with the standards and all of this stuff. I mean, that is where that's my favorite kind of music.
Oh,
and the way that you incorporated the harmonica into that is really spectacular. And I think you're one of the only guys that are doing that kind of thing where you're singing, you're fronting a big band and blowing harp at the same time. You don't see that too often, that sort of mixture.
I thought the same thing. Thank you for noticing, you know. And I purposely, like, the last record I made is called Bring It Home. That was kind of what I wanted to put front and center, is like amplified harmonica and a horn section, because that's not something you find on too many records. You know, there was one like Junior Parker record that I can't even find anymore, where he played a big amplified harmonica solo and then the horns were behind him, you know, doing punctuation hits. And
yeah,
that was very inspiring, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sort of modeled that record after the blues reviews and the soul reviews, like Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, only with an amplified harmonica front and center.
Yeah, well, it definitely works. And, you know, folks can actually check that album out on, can they get that on Spotify?
Not currently, no. I didn't put that one on Spotify, but it is on iTunes and it's on Amazon Prime.
Right on, right on. But all your other records are actually on Spotify. I
Yeah,
encourage
yeah.
everybody, if you haven't checked them out yet, to go check them out. I love your voice too, and I love your song choice.
Thank you.
You must be a Sinatra fan.
Huge Sinatra fan. Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
too. He's my favorite singer. I say that in like every episode.
Yeah. Like up there in the Pantheon, I got Sinatra, Lou Rawls, Ray Charles.
Yes. I noticed you did Natural Man.
Yeah, yeah.
On which record was that? Deluxe?
Yeah, that was on Deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had never heard that song, and I had the funk band, the Smoking Section, and we were in talks with Tommy Boy Records, which was they were like this close to signing my funk band, and I was sitting in the office with the president, Monica Lynch, and she said, "Here's what I hear you doing," and she put on this tune, "Natural Man," and she was right, and I'd never heard that before, and I right away put that in the repertoire, and it became like a big, live popular. People requested that all the time. So
Absolutely, it's a wonderful song. You did a great job of it. Have you, by any chance, heard Lou Rawls' version of Scotch and Soda?
Scotch and Soda? No, I don't know that one.
Check that out. That would be a great one for you, actually.
Thank you. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, Scotch and Soda. It's really. I think it was like a folk hit. Like the original version was like one of those folk trios or something like that. And it doesn't sound. I mean, of course, Lou brings it. He brings the juice and makes it a whole other thing. And it's like it's got the horn sec. It's really sick. You're gonna dig it. Maybe
I will check that out. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Lou Rawls fan. Just huge.
What a sexy voice that guy's got, right?
Yeah, and I don't think he gets enough recognition. For
I agree.
How amazing he was.
Yes, absolutely amazing. Well, tell me about your vocals. I mean, you've as I mentioned, I think you're a great singer. You really know how to swing, and so a lot of singers don't even understand what that means anymore. I don't think, to be able to swing.
Yeah, I get you. Well, it was kind of a process getting there. I used to. Well, I told you about the classic rock stuff, and then when I was with Brian Cramer, I would sing one song, "Got My Mojo Working," and then I became terrified of singing. But my journey with that into like the jazz part of it, I gotta say, Adam Gusso once again kicked me in the butt, and I was going to Europe. I was on my way to Europe. I was going to Spain for a couple of months, and then I was going to try to end up in Paris. This is back when my rent in Manhattan was $300 a month. So,
wow,
I would work like 9 months a year, like work 3-4 jobs, and then I could travel all summer. And who cares? Your rent's $300 a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So he said, "Ron, listen to me." This is Adam Gusso talking. He said, "If you've ever listened to anything I said, listen to this. Go buy yourself a mouse amplifier, right? And when you get to Paris, go to this bar called the Mazet." And so I lugged this thing around on my shoulder for 2 months without ever touching it. And then I went to the Mazet the first day in Paris, and he said, "Look for this guitar player," because Adam had been there the summer before, and he started busking in the street,
Yeah.
And so there's this band in the back of the bar, and I don't know them. And they're playing "Ain't Nobody's Business If I Do" by Billie Holiday. And I like fiddling with my harps, trying to figure out what key they're in. I just started playing along. And it turned out that was the guitar player, Billy Collins, Bad Boy Billy. And he was rehearsing with this guy, Danny Fitzgerald, who ran this band, this busking band in Paris. He was an older gentleman. He was from New York, but he lived on a houseboat outside of Paris. So Danny says to me, "Can you drive?" And I said, "Yep." He said, "You want to go to Switzerland tomorrow?" And I was traveling with this girlfriend, and we were not getting along. And I said, "Yes, I will see you tomorrow." So I started traveling around, and he heard me fooling around singing, but I was scared really to sing in public. And he literally grabbed me by the shirt and stuck me in front of his band and said, "Sing that Al Green song you've been messing around with,"
Wow.
And so that sort of forced me to get over stage fright. But Danny was like a history of the Great American Songbook, and especially early blues like Bessie Smith and Lil Green and Fats Waller, and so like riding around in his car through France and Switzerland, I'm getting this education of all these songs and figuring out that harmonica can be used in these songs, and I just slowly figured out how to do it,
Yeah.
basically, and then learn all these songs.
Right.
But still, I wasn't. It took years to be able to sing standards correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It was really. I was working later on in the '90s. I was working at the Showboat in Atlantic City like 5 days a week.
Yeah.
With my swing band, Full Swing, and we started. That was like a paid rehearsal every day, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gigs, and then we drive back to New York and play on Bleecker Street at night, the other band.
Wow.
So, like around the time Sinatra died, I decided I would do a tribute to Frank Sinatra and try to do some of his tunes.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out how hard that is,
Mm-hmm.
And so then I spent the next several years working on being able to sing those songs correctly, because it's really, I mean, even somebody who'd been singing professionally for, by that time, several years and done hundreds and hundreds of gigs.
Yeah.
That was a lot harder than I thought
Yeah.
it would be,
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Did you ever take any voice lessons to?
I took exactly 2 voice lessons.
Was enough.
This guy. Yeah. This guy. You know who Madeline Peru is?
I don't know.
She's a pretty famous singer. She sells out Carnegie Hall now. Peyrous. You probably heard of her songs on. She had a big Dockers commercial.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I met her in Paris when she was 17. She was in that same band of Danny Fitzgerald, and she and I went together to this guy that Danny recommended up in Harlem named Laconia Smedley, who was the nephew of Sonny Stitt. And he gave us voice lessons, and I still do his warm-ups, just breathing from the diaphragm. But
yeah,
that was the extent of my voice training.
Right. I hear you. I've been talking a lot lately on the podcast with other harmonica players who are also singers about the idea that to learn to sing a little bit can really help out your harmonica playing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do, and it goes hand in hand in strange ways, right?
Yeah, it really does. Really does.
Because I hear strange throat vibrato coming out of when you're in the studio, you got headphones on, you listen back to a vocal take, and they're the engineer's saying, "What is that noise?" And it's like throat vibrato that you get from playing the harmonica.
Yeah,
comes out into the vocals.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that you use a lot of the same muscles, and I do think that learning to sing could help your harmonica playing.
Absolutely,
and vice versa.
Right, exactly. Right. I feel like when I'm warming up actually to sing, if I spend 10 or 15 minutes blowing harp too, in addition to like a vocal warm up, man, my air is just there. It's,
that's a good idea.
It's really ready to go. Sometimes it's, if my voice is in good shape, I can just play the harp for 10 or 15 minutes. And then, because my air has warmed up, I suppose,
you get your lungs saturated with oxygen and whatever.
Yeah. It really helps out. So I'm interested because I've been trying to play some standards on diatonic. Now you're a diatonic player.
Yes.
You play any chromatic, by the way?
Not in public, really.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, I'll say I'm a chromatic harmonica owner.
Yeah. Yes, I concur with that myself.
But there is one little tiny solo that is on my Soul Drug record of me. There's one recorded example of me playing chromatic. That's just a very simple, short thing, never to be repeated.
At least not live on stage, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I took a chromatic lesson from Rob Paparozzi, who's great.
Yes,
fantastic.
And a wonderful guy.
Yeah, and a great teacher, and he's so knowledgeable. And I just realized, like, this is a whole, decade of study I'm looking at. Because I'm not I'll tell you a secret. I don't read music really. I understand music theory, but
right on.
I never studied that, and I pay people to write arrangements, really great horn players who are, like master's degree from Juilliard, but that is not me. I am not that guy. So
yeah, I hear you. I can, again, I think we have a lot in common, you and I read a little music. I started on saxophone, and I took like 6 months of piano when I was like 8, and I decided I wanted to play baseball instead, right? So I gave that up. I wish now that I hadn't, but yeah, so I'm sort of in the same boat. I understand enough to make me sort of dangerous. Maybe
that's why
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a challenge for me even teaching. I was before COVID. I was teaching at a neighborhood music school here. It's like 2 blocks away from my house, so I couldn't really say no. And
Right.
it's challenging for me because I don't even know what hole I'm blowing into. I have to like count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Adam can just go, okay, 6-hole draw into 7 bend.
Yeah.
I don't know what hole I'm blowing into. I really don't know.
You're playing from your soul for sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I get.
I know what sound is going to come out, and that's about it.
How are you? Are you using any interesting tunings on your diatonic to get all these notes to be able to play jazz standards, or because I feel like you're, it's tough to play those songs without having playing chromatically, right?
It's a lot of fakery,
A lot of trickery,
sleight of mouth.
Well, you're inspiring me because I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can play some jazz standards on a diatonic without an overblow, right?
No overblowing. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's not something I've. You're going to get the impression I'm a very lazy harmonica player, but I don't read music. I don't overblow. I don't play chromatic.
That's funny. No, I'm kind of I feel like we're kindred souls in many ways. Another thing that I thought was fascinating about you, and for those that have tuned into the Harpslinger podcast before, know this about me. I'm a songwriter, and I really enjoy talking shop with songwriters. And you've written a ton of songs. Some of your records have been all original material. Tell me about your songwriting process and when you're getting ready to make a record, or do you just write all the time, or what's your thing?
It's I don't write all the time, kind of undisciplined, but sometimes you just get an idea and you got to have something ready, a tape recorder. Now you got your phone, which is very handy.
Totally.
So I'm driving or something, or I want this podcast to be able to be heard by all ages. So I'll just say sometimes you get some extra inspiration from somewhere.
Right. Well, that reminds me of a song that you wrote. That has been sort of a hit for you. Actually, it's number one when you look you up on Spotify. It's got like 11 million or something. Like,
smells like a hit.
It smells like a hit. Yeah, but anybody can go there and check it out, and they'll know what we're talking about. It's the first one that pops up. Great song, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I co-wrote that with. Yeah, I was carrying that title around for 10 or 12 years, and then my friend Craig Dreyer and we were trying to write songs for Deluxe, and I just had this list of song titles, and we just sat down and wrote that in like a few hours and recorded a demo, and that was it.
Those are the best ones that kind of just pop out.
Yeah, so I recommend for songwriters, think of titles. You can always build a song from a title, So I keep lists of titles, lists of ideas, and I keep recordings of just little things that pop into my head. And for some reason, I always get ideas in the shower or driving my car,
When you're, having some moments of solitude, when you can be alone and your brain really
and the noise of the world is not upon you,
That's right. I get those ideas when I'm walking my dog by myself, right?
Now you got your phone to sing it into.
That's right. Yeah. So that's how you come up with your melody. You're singing the melody line, and then do you typically sit down with a co-writer to
yeah, typically. Yeah. Unless it's like, if I say, okay, I'm going to do a 12-bar blues or a 16-bar blues or an 8-bar blues, or rhythm changes with this bridge or that bridge, then I know, what it is. But if it's something any more complex than that, yeah, I will sit down with a co-writer.
Right on, right on.
Or sometimes I have a friend, Joe Flood, who's a fantastic songwriter who everybody should check out. He was
like
in my band in the
I feel like
early 90s. Well, he had a band called Mumbo Gumbo. They played every Sunday at the rodeo bar.
Okay, that's probably where I've heard it.
Yeah, I'm going to see Joe and I are doing a gig together in Connecticut, like in 2 weeks, up in Cafe 9 in New Haven. Anyway, he's like a genius with putting things. It's like a puzzle to him. It's like some people will sit down, do the Monday crossword puzzle and ink. If you send Joe like, you know, a tenth of a song, it's like, here, I got this idea. He will look at it like a crossword puzzle and just go zip, 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 zip. And next thing you know, you got another song. That was like the song One Link a Chain off my last record. I just had the title and a basic structure, and I sent it to Joe, and he basically did like 80% of it. And he's incredibly fast and talented. Right
on. Well, you've had a number of songs placed all over the place. I mean, I'm going to read this. Your music's been featured on CNN, BET, NBC, Fox, BBC, tons of nationally released compilation CDs, some books and films.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, bro.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been, you know, the music business is tough, and you got to pursue every avenue in order to survive, you know.
Diversifying, right?
Yeah. You got to have different streams, and that's definitely has been an important one.
Tell me about your experience with and how this came about with you know, you worked on the HBO series Vinyl.
Oh, Vinyl, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I was at home. I had just done I was here in Pennsylvania. I'd played like 2 nights in a row in New York. I was very tired. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I get up and I'm making eggs and the phone rings. And it was the producer of the music for that show. And he's like, we're at Electric Lady Studios in New York. Can you be here in 2 hours? And I live like an hour and a half away. And I said, yes, you know.
Right.
And so my friend Mark Lopman, who does a lot of arranging he's in Vince Giordano and the Nighthawks. So they've done the music for like several Scorsese movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they work a lot with the music supervisor who was working on that show, Randall Poster. And so Mark recommended me. They were looking for a harmonica player.
Nice.
And so, of course, I just said yes. And I just jumped in the shower, grabbed my amp, and ran out the door, you know, and showed up Electric Lady. And they were already recording. And so I went back in the studio and I set up my amp real quick and I got a sound. And I think that the producer did not even know I was there. And the band was so fantastic because Steve Holley on drums. He used to be in McCartney's band, but he's an old friend. And David Mansfield was one of the guitars, and Johnny Gale was the other. It was just, they were fantastic. And it was like walking into a Chess Records recording session. And it was like they built this huge feather bed and all I had to do was lay down in it. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that was really fun. And they used a big piece of my harmonica playing on one of those episodes, and that was very satisfying.
I bet it was. I'm sure I perked up when I heard that because I watched the series. I thought it was a great series. I was surprised that it didn't continue.
Yeah, me too. Too bad, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Really interesting characters, and you know, and the people behind it, Mick Jagger and I believe Scorsese, right?
Yeah, Scorsese, Jagger, and somebody else, can't remember.
Yeah, it was
Terrence Winter.
Okay, Terrence Winter.
Yeah.
Okay, right on, man. I wanted to ask you about you know, a little bit more about your time in Europe, and because I've spent a good deal of time touring over there with my band, and I was just interested to know what some of your favorite cities are to play over there, and what you think of the differences between the audiences there as opposed to the audiences here back at home. Do you notice?
That's an interesting question, right? Yeah, I guess the city I've been to the most is Paris. I've been there quite a lot of times, and
that's a sweet city.
and I've spent a lot of time in Sweden and Norway also. And
Okay.
I mean, the thing that always strikes me is just they may not be as verbal and loud as American audiences when they get worked up, but man, they're listening and they are incredibly knowledgeable. They know our music, our American music, better than we do. You know.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've had these crazy experiences. One time I had this gig in Oslo for like a month at a time, and fly us over there and put us up, and we play in this club like every night, you know.
Yeah.
I did that a couple of times. So one day we were walking around Oslo, and you know, we had to like use the restroom. So we walked into this bar in the middle of the day. The lights were off, and they had like a slide projector going, and there's like 50, 60 people sitting here in chairs watching this slide projector. And it's a class on American jazz and blues, you know, in the middle of the day. They're like sitting there studying our music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are the chances of walking into that here? You know, all these adults.
Yeah. Right.
Sitting in a bar in the middle of the day, taking a class, you know, listening to a lecture or whatever on jazz and blues. It just blew my mind, you know. And then you talk to people after the gig, and they invite you to see their record collection, and they know everything about our music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jazz and blues is one of our greatest contributions to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, we don't have the same level of awareness here, let's just say.
Yeah, it seems like we've sort of forgotten how important that is.
Yes.
The youth is not certainly unless they're seeking it out, or unless they have parents like your father who's introducing great music to you. They're not discovering it until maybe way later in life. You know.
Yeah, I think that's starting to change. I
hope so.
You know, I have 2 teenage daughters, and they're friends, and they give me great hope. You know,
Good.
They're such nice people that this generation coming up now. I just have to say, all is not lost, you know.
Great. Good. Right. You heard it here. Nice.
Yeah.
And you would know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is sort of off the, well, I'm sort of jumping around a little bit, but I wanted to ask you before, when we were talking about your experience in the studio, what's your gig rig look like? What are you playing through? What's your mic amp combination? Do you use pedals? If so, which ones do you like to use?
Yeah, my gig rig right now is pretty simple. I got a Silvertone. I think it's a 1432, the smaller one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually not the tiny one, but the medium size. 2 6V6s, you know.
Nice.
And that's a great sounding amp, and it's like, I need to get the plug replaced on it because it's like a 2-prong. So harmonica players know, maybe they don't know, but if you're using a 2-prong plug on your amp and you plug it in the wrong way and you touch your harp mic to the PA mic, zap, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm using that, and I have my, you know, all those mics I bought, sold, and traded. I ended up with this beautiful, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
it's
I can.
Small shell Shure Bullet, like late 30s, early 40s. It's got a Kodak tag on it.
Wow. Okay.
This is the one I hung on to out of all those hundreds of mics.
Yeah, you were unloading a bunch on YouTube.
Yeah, that was just an accident. But anyway, and I use that. It's got a white CR in it right now because I had a black CR which bit dust, so I put a white CR in.
Nice.
And I use a Lone Wolf harp delay, and that's it.
Oh, right on. Great. Lone Wolf is making great pedals. I mean, they've really filled a niche in the market that nobody was looking after, the harp player.
And Randy's a great guy too. And I was in the middle of making my last record, and something happened to my harp delay, and he like overnighted me one, you know, because I was like, okay, it's harp day. Dang, the thing died. Some weird went wrong with it, but he replaced it, overnighted it to me, and he's like stands behind what he sells. He's a great guy. Yes,
they are great people. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got a number of their pedals. So just a little delay, and it goes a long way, doesn't it? Just a little. Yeah. Like a little slapback delay most of the time, pretty much.
I just have it all the time.
There you go. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. I have other amps, you know. I have a Sonny Jr. Cruncher also, which is great. And I was using a Fender Pro Junior, that reissued Tweed. I got to get that worked on. It's been several years. I didn't really want to be carrying around my 63 Silvertone because it's so old and I don't want to, damage it. But I got to get my Pro Junior fixed. And then I have a Fender Tweed Bassman.
Okay.
Like a 92.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That mostly doesn't. I carried that thing around for years and years and years, but it's just whatever.
So heavy, right?
Yeah, I like lighter amps now.
Yeah.
It's not as heavy as I used to have a Blackface Super. That was my first amp.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of amp.
Yeah. But I didn't know about the tube because, okay, it's 1990. There's no website to tell me, oh, you put a lower gain preamp tube in there and then you won't get the feedback.
Right.
You turn it up past 2. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. I feel like we were in the dark for so long.
Totally. Yeah.
It was all trial and error. If you were lucky enough to know somebody who'd been through it before, you were very fortunate.
Yeah. I will call Adam Gusso's name for the 3rd time and say, thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
He was the guy that would answer my questions,
He was the first artist that I had on the podcast. And I asked him to be that for a reason because, I've been a fan of his for years, and I remember when I lived on the Upper West Side, I used to make I didn't realize he only played on like Saturday on on 125th Street. So whenever I had time, I would just walk up to 125th Street, which was only like 15 blocks away, and I'd walk up and down the street looking for this guy that people kept telling me about to go hear, this Adam Gusso cat, and. And he's just a wealth of knowledge, and I think he's done wonderful things for the harmonica community.
Yeah, excellent teacher.
Yeah.
And also, look at his YouTube channel. How many hundreds of thousands of subscribers does he have? I never thought there were that many harmonica players in the world. And, it's an eye-opener, right?
It's an eye-opener. Yes, it is. And, since I've been sort of delving into the podcast and really being on YouTube probably more than ever, I'm just amazed at the amount of harmonica players that are, first of all, really talented, but are really enthusiastic about harmonica from all over the world, man. They're from everywhere. It's unbelievable.
And you meet the coolest people. Harmonica players got cooler over the years, I think. You're average.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, that's true. It's like pedal steel players. I don't know. Oh, shoot. Well, so I know besides you have another passion besides music, and I'm cooking and gardening.
Oh yeah. Well,
so I love watching, photos of, your peppers, and you're pretty adventurous with your cooking.
Yeah, I have to be because, I lived in New York for like 23 years, and then I moved out here, and there are a couple of good restaurants, but it's not like I can just call up and get Thai food anytime I want. That it would be excellent and delivered hot to my door. So
yeah. Yeah.
I've been out here for a while, so it's kind of like if you want it, you better learn how to make it,
Yeah. You look like you're becoming a chef. You like you're the next Emeril Lagasse or something.
Yeah, I'll have to do the harmonica cooking show or something. But
that might be
I've actually taken a couple of jobs cooking here and there.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Right on. Just a little side hustle.
Side hustles is the name of the game. Yeah.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, hey, I just want to tell you again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Folks can check out your music on all of the platforms that are out there. Wherever you get your music, Ron's music is there. Also encourage everyone to follow you on Facebook because you always have something interesting on there.
Well, thanks, man. It's
absolutely. And they can buy your music too, also directly through your website. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that is right.
RonSunshine.com.
I want to say that I made my last record in vinyl, and I have several hundred of them. I'm going to put them on sale right now.
Nice. How much are they?
I'm going to put them on sale for $15.
All right. Hey, that's
on eBay. Look for Ron Sunshine, Bring It Home vinyl on eBay. I'm going to put them up for $15.
Nice.
Free shipping in the U.S.
Any free shipping in the U.S. Killer.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
right on, right on. What's next for you, Ron? Are you planning to, now that the COVID is hopefully people are getting back to gigs? Hopefully that will just continue to escalate.
Yeah, yeah. I got some stuff coming up, things in the book, and I'm trying to get my larger band back on stage, which hasn't happened yet because whatever limitations of the current COVID situation. But
how do you keep a big band together? I mean, a three-piece combo is hard to keep together, but you play with a big band. You've played the Rainbow Room and all of these wonderful venues. With I saw recently some stuff with you and the Tommy Dorsey Ghost Band.
Yeah.
How do you keep 18 guys or 16 guys or whatever together?
We're deep. You know what I mean? I got like 3-4 great players for every chair, and you call your first call guys. And I mean, New York is it's an embarrassment of riches, like the best musicians. So
right on.
If one guy can't make it, there's usually an equally great guy to fill in. And with that band, everything's written, and these guys read like
they read it down.
Nothing, you know what I mean? So
right on. Well,
pretty much the name of the game.
I love it. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. Everybody, check out the website. Hopefully, more and more gigs will be on the way. Next time I'm in the New York area, I'm hoping that you'll be playing somewhere, maybe Swing 46. My wife was in the Broadway musical Swing, and so that whole cast,
My alto player was in that show, Matt Hong.
Okay, they probably know one another. We used to go after her show to Swing 46 frequently and dance. You have a big dance following. You got a lot of dancers that love what you do. Yeah,
a lot of dancers,
and they dress the part.
They not so much as they used to, but they still do somewhat. Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
There was a period there where they really dressed the part.
Yes. Yeah. Like it was, I guess, the early 2000s and the late 90s when they were just
exactly.
It's like being in that movie Swingers, like really for real.
Yeah. Actually, I knew more than one person in that show, Swing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. My guitar player at the time, Dan Hovey, he was in that show too.
Right on. Right on. Great band.
Yeah, it was really great.
It's really fantastic. I won't keep you any longer. I'm so grateful for your time, and it's been a real pleasure to get to know you. And please stay in touch with me, and I hope we can have you on the show again sometime.
That'd be great. I look forward to meeting you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. Peace and love to you, my friend.
You too, man.